Quick story. A girl and a guy met and fall for each other. They both love music, so decide to work together. And they were pretty good at it. Now on the surface, everything looked perfect. But oh, the stress of the city. So they decided otherwise. They packed up and left for the countryside. And that's where we meet this family, raising their children, growing their own food and their business together, on a quest to find a new normal and a new sense of happiness. And if you're looking for the same thing, then join us and we can unpack this thing called life together. Where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. I'm Shamel Olwago. My husband's Amondi Olwago, and together we are Nile Ochi. And this is ZQuest. Hello and welcome to another episode of ZQuest Exclusives. We are your hosts, Nile Ochi. I'm Shamel and
I'm Amondi.
And we're happy to have you. If you know us, then you know we're nerds. Okay? We are the people who, the go-to people for computing or anything like that in our family.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's not that we're self-proclaimed. It was a title that we proudly wear that was given to us a long time ago. And that's fine.
But we're music producers, so...
Doesn't the two
helps.
do not have to be, you know...
Why not?
I don't think that just because you're a music producer, it's not a prerequisite to be cool. You just... it's just another skill, you know.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. When we started producing, it was like, it was the time where analog was transitioning to digital.
Yeah, that's true.
In the box producing.
Yeah.
So you needed to know how to use computers, build your own computer.
Yeah.
And also of things that, general public may not have known at the time.
Well, I would say that was our introduction to tech, but I'd say that was our introduction to tech in the terms of having to work with it and use it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that was definitely my introduction to tech as far as using it for work. Before then, it was just, go to school, put it on in Carter, floppy disk, blah, 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 that type of thing.
But the thing is, there's a difference between using, softwares, basic softwares like Excel and stuff like that. So, a lot of people use this type of softwares.
Back then.
Even back then, when you used to go to work, that's the usual softwares and...
It was in Carter.
Words, Excels and stuff like that they used to use.
Yeah.
No, but those are basic softwares that,
yeah.
And then using more elaborated softwares as well. Like, what we're doing in our music industry, using Pro Tools, Cubase, all sorts of software like this, a lot more elaborated.
But the thing is...
Or Photoshop and stuff like that now.
Yeah, I guess. But then at the same time, there's been such a progression from when we started.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
To now, like Nuendo, all those places like that. Like the interface didn't even look the same back then.
No.
Now. Way more user-friendly.
What do you mean, like now?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Way more user-friendly.
Well,
I feel like sometimes...
Back in the day, it was like...
No, I feel like sometimes the designers of these interfaces kind of like... I don't know if it's deliberately being elitist, like, well, if you don't know, too bad.
Yeah.
Or if it's just that they... when you're so deep in your world, you don't know that there's people who don't know what you know.
Yeah.
There's that. It's like sometimes when, my parents will call me and be like, oh, I've got to talk to you. And then I'll be like thinking something's up. And then they'll be like, I've lost this file. Now, how do I open? And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Well, first,
so
this. Try to find out what they did.
I need to be able to move. And I'm like, okay, all right, fine. Okay, hi.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that. I think most of the families went through a period where they were blaming each other as far as what happened with the computer. Being like, I know you did it in my stuff and I'm sure of it. Now you don't know how to use a computer. No, you don't know how to use a computer. And I think,
we didn't go through that. We were out of those. We were totally out of those arguments.
Because we were too much into computers.
They knew it wasn't us.
So
we'd be the person they'd call to be like, come and fix this, please.
Yeah.
your mum's gonna mess the computer up again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I'm like, why are you calling this guy? This guy's literally sitting down in front of your computer and deleting files that's clogging up your system.
Yeah.
You could do that yourself. What are you doing?
But I think the basic understanding of how computer work, the majority of people didn't get it. Back in the day, I think now.
Back in the day, you think people get computers now?
Or the new generation a bit more, no? Don't you think so?
I think that they've had to work with it. I think that they've had to work with them. I think they've had to use them. But don't forget, if you are a certain age, you've come in using it with a certain interface from the beginning, and that's user-friendly right there.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So do you understand the inner workings of it? Do you understand what goes on behind it? No, you still have to kind of be forced into that world. Gamers, luckily, are forced into that world because, you know, the whole thing is you build. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So immediately...
you could buy your computer directly.
You can,
do, but you know.
We know that there's a difference, right?
Yeah, you need knowledge. Yeah.
Build it.
You need knowledge to know what a good computer is, isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
And the thing is, different things in life, and it was a blessing that we got kind of thrusted into, okay, you're going to have to build your own computer.
Yeah.
Because it's allowed us to just be in the side of this whole world that runs simultaneously to real life, but it just isn't a part of it. But then it is. It's like the Matrix.
The thing is, when you produce or if you like do like any sort of video editing, obviously that's been meant much easier with the new softwares, more friendly, user-friendly. Yeah. So the experience on it is not the same that, you know, when you used to use it back in the day, 10 years, you know, 10 years ago. You needed a lot more knowledge about compatibilities between different softwares and, you know, all sort of things that now obviously as we going forward, it's become easier and easier. So, but would you say that it's like now the knowledge, you know, in computering is like more accessible than it used to be back in the day? Do you think that also as we going ahead in the future that, you know, if you want to know things, it's a bit easier today to know about it?
I think the general assumption is that we have the internet and it's opened us up to so much information and it's all there if only we would go and seek it. And that idea is true to a certain extent. Yeah. Until you scratch the surface and realize that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So how can I look for something I don't even know exists?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
It's very true, you know, because when you know,
we stumble upon these things.
Yeah.
Because we were already looking in one place for something else, and we're like, oh, it's kind of an unraveling.
Well, we have a keen interest as well on, you know, regarding any technology that's right now on the market, that new things are coming in, or actually sometimes they're not even new, but obviously, like you say, it's kind of elitist. So if you know in this world, you would not know about it. It's
fair to say that it's elitist. Okay, now to be when we speak about it, I'm aware now that I'm only speaking to a certain crowd.
Yeah.
To be unaware that you're speaking to a certain crowd is where it becomes elitist. The assumption is that people should know this.
But then, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you still have to I wouldn't say assume, but you still have to make an effort to share some information, because sometimes you can reach out to some people that will never know about you know, this particular information. So just being able to talk, now you don't have to use complicated terms in order to explain what you want to explain. But that's the problem, I think, today. It's like, if you not in this world, you're completely detached from certain opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that you inevitably, if you're going to speak about certain things, you're going to have to use words that they don't know, but you don't have to complicate the matter. You can, explain.
I'm going to put it out there. I feel like for the longest now, I could have been a spokesperson for the tech world.
So why haven't you?
Because they don't get, excuse me? And what's your credentials? Because let's be honest, you're talking to scientists. They go by credentials. What do you know? What school did you go to?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't go to a school and you can build a computer. Clap, clap, girl. Get out of my face. Yeah. It's a bit that. The only difference is, I feel like in order for a lot of these geniuses to have success, they're going to have to reach the common person. They are.
But you
to
know what?
Be able to illustrate the genius in a way that doesn't go over the person's head.
I understand, but you know what? Like every businesses, that new businesses. Sometimes you have new businesses or new industries, and obviously you've got the experts. But like every new industry, there's ramifications that naturally occurs, and then you have a whole ecosystem of businesses that clings on those, initial new businesses, new technologies. So I think it doesn't matter whether you went to school for it or not, and I understand so in the world of developers. So they went to particular schools, a lot of them know each other, and they developed, because that's the job, certain programs and use an extensive amount of codings that are very complex. But from this, it's to create a service for other businesses and other tech businesses. They may not be so particular in this domain as far as coding and stuff, but it's necessary for certain opportunities, and there's always the ramifications from new businesses anyhow. And what I'm saying is that I think you can use different spokesperson. You don't have to be a particular developer, but you can be good for the business of it all.
And that's where I step in.
Yeah. So
like, hey folks, those long words there, they gotta go. No one knows what you're talking about. If I can't explain it to my mom, you're not going to sell the billion you think you are.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it.
There's a business to business sales.
And that's first. A totally different kettle of fish. But we're talking when you have to start laying this out to say, this will be great on the masses, this is going to be able to be adopted by the everyday person, then you're going to have to start learning how to speak everyday person. Because right now, there's such a disconnect. So
we've been through, throughout the course of history, not that it's been that old, but we've been through the first computers when it came out. Then we had the first video games as well. Went on to the first use of internet. When it's been made available for the general public, and obviously off of that we had new services, all kind of new services that emerged and new technologies that emerged. And obviously we know the emails, the social media and all that stuff. And then now, what would you say now, what's the newest things that maybe our listeners could benefit from, that just, because some would say, the newest things is but I don't want to be rude, but basically 5G. So we're going to say, it's 5G or 4K because, and it's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about really this newest use of technology that's going to change the world. What would you say to you? What would, if you had to give an example, what would it be?
I would say that hands down, the future's in tech. And when people say tech, they probably... When I say tech, most thing that will come to people's head might be Apple or a computer.
Yeah, because people will say, like what you just said now, they'll say, but we're already in it.
No, we're not.
So what are you talking about? What you're referring to exactly?
What we did by learning how to communicate with each other with computers is scratch the surface on something so monumental to the underpinning of what we're going to be in the next 30 to 50 years. So
you agree that basically, like me, that there is a new shift now that's happening at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. And it's...
What would you say? Because people are like,
what
shift is it like? The
shift is going to be... Okay, I'm I'm trying to find a way to be able to say it without being elitist about it, with the jargon I'm going to use.
Yeah, but you could always say the word and then find a synonym or...
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still got to give them the true terminology, because they're going to try to go and search for it. They're going to be like, what was this? I can't find anything.
I think that the truth is in the truth and the future will be in decentralized technologies.
Okay. So we're referring to...
We're referring to that in all areas of life. It's literally going to be down to creators. Thank you for listening. Now for full exclusive episodes, go on to nileochi.com and join our Patreon.